go for the final time. We are free! Oh, they make contact! A terrible crash! And good evening, everybody, and welcome here as we get set for race number 10 of season 10 of the final season of the NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series. The All-Star race is getting closer and closer as we speak. We are getting ready for nighttime racing here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. 34 scheduled laps here tonight. Jacob Lawler sits on the pole position, former Snickers Cup Series champion back from season 6. Jacob Lawler over with Hendrick Dowley Motorsports now. It's been a long time. It's been since season 8 since he went to victory lane at Trace Riveras. Went winless in season 9 and has been winless up to this point. But he'll start alongside of Tim Walsh, who the last time we were at a D-shaped mile-and-a-half racetrack, Atlanta Motor Speedway, he went to victory lane. He'd love to be able to pick up a second victory here this season and clinch himself a spot in this season's chase for the championship. His teammate out of Gibbs Waltrip Mayonnaise Racing, Charles Jackson, lines up there in third. His winless streak has been even longer than Jacob Lawler's has, and alongside of him is going to be Seth Cole, who has been dropping through the standings the last couple of weeks, now finds himself all the way down in the 13th position in points. Guy that's been moving up in the standings, up to 6th in points, that is Joshua Michaels. He will roll off from position number 5. Coming into today's race, the points definitely took a shakeup after last week at Talladega Superspeedway, and we have gone 9 races with 8 different winners, them being the Daytona 500 winner Trent Dunham, 2-time winner this season Dylan Poteet. Jessica Shelton has gone to victory lane along with Tim Walsh, Dougie Shears, Austin LaPlante, Brandon Gonzalez at Pocono, and last week's winner being Richard Johnson. Now these drivers, their goal now is they've been to victory lane, but they got to get themselves into the top 30 in the point standings. Now, at the current moment, all but one of those drivers are still inside the top 30. The only one that is not is Richard Johnson. He came into the Talladega race outside the top 35. The win moved him up to 33rd in points, but he's got a couple more spots in points to move up before he is chase eligible. And like I said, 8 different winners already, and we still got a good portion of this season yet to go. We haven't even reached the halfway point of the regular season, so this is definitely looking like it may come down to who is highest in points with one win, and a lot of drivers with wins this season might miss out on this season's chase for the championship. So multiple victories really could be a key for a number of these drivers. But enough talk, it's time to go racing. Let's go down trackside as the Daytona 500 winner and Texas native Trent Dunham gets ready to deliver those most famous words in motorsports.
I hope you're as ready as I am, ladies and germs. Drivers, start your engines!
Dodge Charger pace car peels off. Lawler and Walsh follow him along with the other 40 drivers in his field. Look at your bottom of your screen. You'll see your starting lineup for this evening's race at Texas Motor Speedway. Talladega Superspeedway last week certainly was a points shaker. Points leader is now John Cittadino, who moved up 4 spots in the standings to take over the points lead. First time this season he has been atop the points standings, but still for his first win of the season as the 2-time Snickers Cup Series champ. He holds a 5-point advantage now over Joshua Collard, 7 points back to Dylan Pote, and then Trent Dunham lost the points lead last week, fell to 4th in points. He now is 8 points out of the top position. So the top 4 in points separated by only 8 points. It's going to be really close between those 4 here tonight. Then you got 5th place. That's Austin LaPlante. He's 18 back. Joshua Michaels 25 back in 6th. Dougie Shears 25 points back in 7th. Then the rest of the top 10 in points coming into tonight's race is Michael Norman, rookie Austin Mongold, and Benjamin Miles. Some drivers that fell outside of the top 10 after last week included Charles Sanford, Brandon Gonzalez, and Seth Cole, all caught up in incidents during the Talladega race. Here we go, though, getting ready to go to green. Jacob Lawler 16th in points, Tim Walsh 18th in points. Get ready to put us under the green flag. Here we go. Race number 10 is officially underway here at Texas Motor Speedway. If you remember back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, I don't think we even had a caution come out. I think we went clean and green that entire race, so track very similar. Will we have the caution flag come out in this one? One thing that's also happened in the past couple of weeks is there have been a lot of wreck-filled races. Bristol was pretty chaotic. Pocono had some pretty hard hits, and of course last week at Dega, we had like 3 caution flags, so we've had a couple of wreck-filled races. Can we finally get back to races where we have some nice long green flag runs? As right now it is Lawler, then Jackson, then Joshua Michaels. That's the top 3. Tim Walsh is now slid all the way back to 4th place. Seth Cole hounding him for that spot, not going to be able to take it. Austin Mongold now tucks into the 6th position. Matthews 7th, and there's Danny Wells currently in the 8th spot. So he's going to go underneath Matthews for that position. Benjamin Miles right behind him, running the Black Horizon reverse scheme here tonight. You know, there are a number of drivers that are running some special schemes that they ran last week at Talladega, but the action was kind of blah, if you will, and so we didn't get much of a chance to be able to see them, and so we'll cycle through here and show you some of them here tonight. Austin Mongold, you saw there running the Silver Air Force paint scheme on his Ford out of Mongold Motorsports. There's a good battle going on right here for 2nd. Joshua Michaels is going to try and get to the inside of Charles Jackson down here into 3, and he will get there. Looks like he might have to give way here out of 4, though. Highside gets a nice run out of turn number 4, and Jackson will hang on to that position. But it's all going on behind Jacob Lawler. Been able to get himself out to a pretty sizable lead, about a half second now over Charles Jackson. You can bet right now at this pace, Jacob Lawler would love this race to go clean and green all the way to the end. So he doesn't have anybody challenging him, at least for the moment. Jump back here. Looks like Nathan Hudson's worked his way into the top 10. There he is, side by side with Kyle Matthews. Made his way by Benjamin Miles already, and now this is, I believe, a battle for what would be 8th position. Not going to be able to make it this time. Bob Jones right behind him. Bob's actually been on a bit of a streak as of late. He lost the spot last week at Dega, but he started the season out very poorly. Now he's worked his way into the top 30 in the standings. Michael Norman. Sean Henley has been on a streak of top 10 finishes. He's now had 3 straight weeks where he's finished in the top 10. Last week was a top 5 at Dega. Right now running outside the top 10 in the 14th position, but Henley's worked his way all the way up to 27th in the points. And this was a driver about 5 weeks ago who was mired outside the top 35 in the standings. So he's been having a really, really good past couple of weeks. There's Charles Sanford, 11th in the standings, still looking for his first win of the season, with a 2-time winner last year. Further back, there is Stephen Paulwood III. He's been having a really struggling season. He's outside the top 35. And there's Johnny Gardner, the Valvoline Chevrolet. Gardner moved up a couple of spots in points last week, now up to 15th. This is a guy that was inside the top 10, actually up inside the top 5 near the beginning of the season, but some hard luck hit that team at the midway point, and now they're trying to bounce back. There's Dougie Shears, former winner this season. Shears dropped 3 spots in the points last week to 7th, and there's John Cittadino just behind Dylan Young. There's the points leader, moved up 4 spots up to the points lead last week at Dega. He comes in as the current points leader of this series, as he's currently scored in the 20th position. Cold Valley, made by McIntyre. There's last week's winner, Richard Johnson. Like I said, their goal now is to try and make it into the top 30 in points. Right now scored in 25th as he's trying to work his way closer to the front. There's a Texas native and Chris Dollerton. I guess you could also say that James Silverfox is kind of a Texas native. From Texas, currently residing in Germany, though. Early scored 23rd, Dollarton in 26th. There's Dylan Poteet. Now, who would have thought you'd see Mopar on a Chevrolet, but there it is. Dylan Poteet and the number 31 Mopar Chevrolet battling right now with his teammate Sean Galligan. That is for the, I believe, 27th position. There's Joshua Collard. Collard did not really make up a lot of ground last week. He could have been the points leader coming into this race, but he was not able to finish as high up as John Cittadino. So instead of taking over the points lead, he still is second in the points, 5 points behind John. There's Jessica Shelton, Austin LaPlante, 2 former winners this season, and there's the Daytona 500 winner Trent Dunham all the way back in 37th place. Now this could be strategy. Could be riding around waiting for maybe if green flag pit stops take place. Right now, he is way back, mired in traffic, and so too is Brandon Gonzalez, the defending champion and winner a couple of weeks ago from Pocono. There's also a lot of other stragglers back here. Sprint Unlimited winner James Qualls, Zach Buchanan's back here, along with Cody Lamas and Chris Washer. And then it's all the way back up to the leader, Jacob Lawler, who holds a little over a full second over the new second place driver, Joshua Michaels. Michaels actually just cut it down by about 2/10 that time, though. Now only 8/10 advantage. Joshua Michaels, like I said, he's been really hot in the last couple of weeks, been very consistent, and right now doing really, really well here tonight, trying to reel in Jacob Lawler. You know, I actually have looked back through the record books, and Joshua Michaels has gone to victory lane at least once a season, every season since season 5. I remember him going to victory lane one season in the 10 out of Everham Racing, one time in the 10 out of Stuart Haas Racing. I think he went to victory lane in the 82 out of Red Bull Racing. I might be mistaken in that. And then he's gone to victory lane in that 04 car in both season 8 and season 9. Jacob Lawler, though, continues to pace the way. That time it was kind of status quo at the line between himself and Joshua Michaels. 197.991 was how fast Lawler went around, and we know those tires are wearing, so, man, fast lap times being laid down here tonight at Texas this time. Still in the 197s, and opened about maybe 3 100s on Joshua Michaels that time. I found it kind of ironic, too. You got Charles Jackson now separated between himself and the leader, Lawler, by Joshua Michaels, but Charles Jackson, Jacob Lawler, both in a very similar situation right now, both trying to find victory lane, both haven't won for quite a while, and the ironic thing is that both of them were teammates back when they won their consecutive championships. Jacob Lawler ended up winning the championship in season 6, driving the 11 for Joe Gibbs Racing, a season when he had no wins that year, keep in mind how things have changed with the new chase format. And then Charles Jackson won the following season in season 7, driving the number 20 DeWalt Tools Toyota. Jackson still with Toyota, Lawler moving over to Hendrick Galley Motorsports in season 7. Right now, Jacob Lawler is not losing, but he's not gaining either. Joshua Michaels continuing to hang just around 0.8 of a second behind Jacob Lawler. And these drivers are more than likely at some point going to have to hit pit road for a green flag cycle of pit stops. So the question is, when will they come in? Seth Cole now lines up in the 4th position. He is the highest running of the Tweenix drivers at the current moment. Trying to work his way back into the top 10 in points after losing 5 spots in the standings last week, dropping to 13th. Nathan Hudson in the Mercedes-Benz. Hudson comes into this race, if I can find him. I'm looking through the standings here, and I do not see him, which means that he'd be outside the top 35 in points. So this is a well-needed run then for the 6 team. Back now in the 6th positions where you find Bob Jones. Bob Jones, after last week at Talladega, he dropped to 30th in points. He's had some good runs this season, but a lot of those good runs have been countered with poor runs, so he hasn't been able to really make up a whole lot of ground. But right now looking pretty good, as he is the highest running of the Michael Norman Motorsports drivers. And then there's Tim Walsh, outside pole sitter, right now sitting in the 7th position. Last week Walsh moved up to 18th in points and running right now inside the top 10. There's Austin Longold, Benjamin Miles, 2 drivers that popped themselves up into the top 10 after last week's race at Dega. Both having great runs here tonight in 8th and 9th. Longold definitely making a clear case for himself to maybe take Rookie of the Year honors this season. There's still a long season to go, but DJ Curtis, I saw, was mired way back at the tail end of the field. Things could change, though, if we do end up having that cycle of green flag stops. Here's Michael Norman. Norman's been on a skid as of late, actually. Been dropping through the standings. Still top 10. He's 8th in the standings, but really needs a good run like what he's having right now, solidly in the top 10, to get himself back on track. So right now we have 2 Hendrick Dally Motorsports drivers inside the top 10. 2 drivers out of Gibbs Waltrip Mayonnaise Racing, and 2 drivers out of Michael Norman Motorsports. But it's all Jacob Lawler right now. But he has lost some ground to Joshua Michaels, who's now cut it down to half a second. So has Lawler used up most of his equipment trying to get away from Joshua Michaels, or has Joshua Michaels been saving something? That time at the line, just about maybe a little under 6/10, so he lost a little bit of ground, but not much. When we hit the stripe next time, it'll be 8 laps to go here tonight, so these drivers apparently trying to stretch it as far as they can. Maybe they don't have to pit. Maybe they can make it the full 34 laps on 1 tank of fuel. But if not, they're going to be cutting it awfully close, and they may end up coming down pit road for maybe a splash and dash, gas and go thing. That time, Lawler picked up the heat, opened up another 2 tenths between himself and Joshua Michaels, as we had a pass for 4th place. Make that Nathan Hudson, bypassing Seth Cole, and now Seth Cole falls into the clutches of Bob Jones, who's trying to make his way into the top 5. So Hudson to 4th, Cole back to 5th, Jones right behind him in 6th. Maybe going to look to the inside for position here in 1. Not close enough this time. Has to get back in line. Really spread out at the front of the field, though. Jacob Lawler now by almost a full second over Michaels, and then it's a long ways back, about a second and a half back to Charles Jackson. Danny Wells has now cracked the top 10, getting by Michael Norman, moving up to the 9th spot. So now we got 2 Tweenix drivers up inside the top 10. But Jacob Lawler trying to go coast to coast here and get himself into the chase for the championship. He did not make the chase last season because he did not find victory lane at all. But here tonight, that could change if all goes according to plan. Last time by about 1.02. This time by, did he open it up or did it get closed up? Nope, stays exactly the same. So if Jacob Lawler's pushing it, then Michaels must be pushing it. But if Lawler is saving, then Michaels must be saving. We have been clean and green since the drop of the green flag to start this race. 4 laps to go as Jacob Lawler hits the stripe. He's led every lap so far tonight. Came into this race 16th in the point standings. This is going to certainly help him out here tonight, as Jacob Lawler is going to try and make the chase for the first time since Season 8. Now the goal for that 5 team, if they can close the deal, will be to try and stay inside the top 30 in points. I wouldn't be surprised if after tonight, if they're going to lead the most laps, because he's led now 32 of 34, 3 laps to go. he's going to get bonus points for leading the most laps, and if he wins this race, I think we could see Jacob Lawler pretty much pop himself up right into the top 10 in points here tonight, because a number of drivers that came in running well in the point standings were kind of mired back in traffic and really haven't made an appearance up here at the front, including Johnny Gardner, Lyndon Wright, Brandon Gonzalez we saw at the very tail end of the field, and Charles Sanford really hasn't made his way up into the top 10 either. 2 to go here tonight at Texas. Jacob Lawler's just got to make it around 2 more times. He still holds just about a same 1 second lead over Joshua Michaels. And this has got to be quite a coup here for Hendrick Daly Motorsports. They had a rather struggling season last year. Only driver to go to victory lane was Kyle Matthews, and that was at Darlington. Here tonight, white flag displayed. It looks like they're going to have Jacob Lawler go to victory lane. Benjamin Miles has been having a great season for them, up in 10th in the standings. Lawler's been having a pretty good season. Kyle Matthews was strong earlier on this season, and it seems like Cole Daly's been picking up the pace in the last couple of weeks as well. So this is certainly looking like a much better season for that Chevrolet team, as Hendrick Daly Motorsports will get their first win of the season. Jacob Lawler, his first win since Season 8. The winless streak is over as he takes the checkered flag here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. A performance nothing short of dominant. Started on the pole, led all 34 laps, and takes the checkered flag, closing the deal here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Undoubtedly the strongest car of the weekend, and he showed it off here tonight. And look at that. Remember he had like that status quo 1 second advantage over Joshua Michaels. I think he just let it all go on that last lap because he opened it up and finished a total of 1.4 seconds over Joshua Michaels here tonight. But Michaels, I don't think he'll turn his nose up at a second place finish. That's been a very consistent team out of RGE BMW Racing, and another solid run for him here tonight. Charles Jackson's going to get third. That I think might be his best finish of the season. Nathan Hudson got fourth, and Bob Jones did indeed get Seth Cole before the checkered flag to take the 5th position. Seth Cole will settle for 6th. Austin Mongold gets rookie of the race with another solid run here tonight of 7th. Benjamin Miles in 8th. So those two will remain inside the top 10 in points. Michael Norman will settle for 9th. And how about Dougie Shears? Nice late charge to get the 10th position here tonight. So it looks like a number of drivers that came in running well in the points are going to stay running well in the points. Michaels, Shears, Norman, Mongold, and Miles. That's 6th through 10th in points. Going to be interesting to see where they kind of balance out and according to the other drivers that came in top 5 in the standings. Cittadino, Collard, Poteet, Dunham, and LaPlante. Let's find out where those drivers actually finished this race. Highest finishing of those drivers was John Cittadino, finishing in 21st here tonight, so not exactly the best of runs for the new points leader. Dylan Poteet was 27th in tonight's race. Joshua Collard 31st, Austin LaPlante 37th, and Trent Dunham just ahead of him in 36th. So we could have some new names popping up inside the top 5 in points after tonight's event. But Jacob Lawler is the man of the night as he takes and dominates Texas Motor Speedway here tonight. So Jacob Lawler now adds his name into the ring of drivers that are trying to vie for a spot in this season's Chase of the Championship. 10 races and 9 different winners so far. Next week we go road course racing once again on the West Coast at Infineon Raceway. Hope you guys will tune in for that. That's sure to be a great race, and it'll be very interesting to see if maybe someone will try some strategy there. That's a track, a road course where a lot of strategy actually does take place. As a matter of fact, I remember at one time there was some strategy played out by one Brandon Gonzalez, an underdog driver, and he ended up picking up a victory based on that strategy. So keep your eyes on a lot of drivers that will try and use some strategy next week and maybe get themselves a spot in this season's Chase for the Championship. Thank you all so much for watching tonight's race here from Texas Motor Speedway. If you enjoyed this race, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to be part of the crew today. We will now show you your full finisher results from this evening's race, your rookie points and overall points headed next week at Infineon. As you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, offline racing at its best. Good night from Texas.
I was back on Mafia and a serial killer, and I was on
with Jester. I died.
Oh, what?
Whoa! Whoa!
Stop gonna win. A big win.
Carson's won.
We can lick your tears. This is good. You didn't know you. Where you going? Can I just now?